We yes, so we thank Elohim for yet another day that he has granted unto us, to be able to be alive and to be able to appear before all of you today. We are grateful unto the Almighty for the breath of life which he has granted unto us. The preacher man, being wise, came up with many proverbs, and one of the proverbs that King Solomon said was that a living dog far exceeds even a dead lion, simply meaning that as for the dead is the conclusion of all men. There is nothing you can change. There's nothing you can add or remove from your life the moment you are dead. But as for the living, as long as you are alive, your life does not have an exclamation point. It means everything you do, it ends with a comma. And the comma simply means that there is still a change that can be realized. And with the intent of that change, which we all want to be realized in our lives, Elohim has made it so that through the preaching of the gospel, which for many people is craziness and heresy, for them who are yearning for the truth, it is these small moments of preachings that oftentimes bring about refreshments and strength and rejuvenation for the souls. So we thank Elohim for the fact that he has allowed us to be able to still function until today. For many years, we have been blowing the shofar, and for many years, we will keep on blowing the shofar. Even after that YouTube has come and has taken our page down, we will still keep on blowing the shofar. So we pray and hope that Elohim will keep all the people that are tuning in, that he will keep them safe, that he will keep them sound, that he will grant them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So without any further ado, let's start with what we will deal with today, because there is so much that we will cover through the course of the coming 4 sessions. We will deal with, I think our last team had to do with the 4 kingdoms. So we basically dealt with Babylon, Medo-Persia, Grecia, and Rome. And we will now continue. And this is simply an extension of these things. And as we continue with the lesson, or as we start with the lesson, you will see what is meant with that. So we will deal with the 4 horsemen, or the 4 horses of the apocalypse. And our focus today will be on the white horse. Who is the white horse? Is it a he or is it a she? What does it mean, the white horse? How does it tie in with our timeline, with our day and age? And why is it important to know these things? So that is what we will deal with today. So the very introduction, please.
Revelations chapter 6 from verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, or a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Isaiah 25:7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations.
So these 3 verses are all linked. It is telling you about a people who have covered the face of the world. You know who they are, but you don't know who they are. You can trace them, but you can't trace them. They do things, but you don't know what they do, yet you know it. So it's like the proverbial statement, casting a stone and hiding your hands. That's the people that we are dealing with. So I wrote down beneath, I said, who has been
able to conquer the whole world in the name of peace? Whoever in its wake has however in its wake has left nothing but death and destruction behind. who claims to be the harbinger of democracy, honesty, and justice, and yet has spilled more blood directly and by proxy wars than any other kingdom, who claims to be religious and godly, and yet breaks every law written in the book they profess, who is the master liar, manipulator, thief, and robber of this world, who has and is sucking the world dry of its natural resources and is not ready to start colonizing the stars and galaxies, who has an insatiable thirst to conquer other people and impose their way of thinking to the world, and if you dare oppose, will stigmatize you and eventually sanction you to submission. Who is he? Where is he? And what does the Bible say about this destroying nation? Find out today as we deal with the white horse of Revelation 6, a nebulous nation sent to conquer in the name of peace.
That is the intro. That is the great question. It's basically the same question that Job was asking. Who is this? Who are these people that have a crazy superiority complex? To them, they are the crop of the crop. They are the cream, or as they say, the creme de la creme. They are the top notch. They are the gods. They are the supremos. They are the originals. They are the top dogs. They are the apex predator. They are everything that is superior is them. Who are these people? They speak softly, but the content of their words is pure poison. Who are these people that can speak of abortion and murder, but make it seem as if it is sweet? Yeah, we're just giving women the right to express themselves. So you can express yourself by murdering a child. Because New York passed a law where it is allowed to, what do they call it? To terminate a pregnancy after it has reached full term. Can you imagine such manner of people? But they don't call it murder. They call it's a woman expressing her rights. So these are the people that we will deal with today. They come in peace, but they are devils. They come in peace, but they are murderers. They come in peace, but whenever they do something, it's in the name of democracy. It's in the name of peace and justice. But when other nations do it, they are the access of evil. They are the spawns of Satan. They are Tasmanian devils. But when they do it, no, we're only seeking consension. So they have all manner of speeches, words, things like capitalism, things like democracy, things like freedom of expression. But if you touch them, they give you a gag order. It's the freedom of expression if you're speaking about other people. But when you speak about the small hats, they say it's anti-Semitism and they block your channel. But what happened to the freedom of expression? So these are the things that you have to realize. Who are these people? As Job was saying, who are they? Who is the one that is covering the face of the judges? So so we have many slides. So I told myself no intro. So let's continue. The table of content.
So we'll deal with who are the people of the white horse, and then we'll deal with the European conquest. And then we'll look at the 5 ways Europe takes over a nation. We'll look at religion, economics, military might, education, intermarriages, and then a conclusion.
That's it.
For me to understand, please. So the 5 ways are religion, economics, military might, education, and intermarriages.
That is their 5-point strategy.
Okay.
How they usually come in and they take over. So it is in succession. They try one. If it works, it works. If that doesn't work, they try something else. If that doesn't work, they try something else. And at the last, if nothing works, they just destroy you. That is how they work. They just nuclear weapon you. And hey, I've seen wickedness, but the wickedness of Edom, the wickedness of the people of these Europeans. Hey, so let's continue. So who are the people of the white horse? We have to first explain this, and it will make it easier for the ones that will come hereafter. Because the question is not even who are the people of the white horse. The question is, who is the nation that will represent the four horsemen? That is actually the question. But because I'm dealing with the white horse, I will shoe it in from the white horse perspective. But the white horse or all the other horsemen, they represent a kingdom. So we will show you who that kingdom is, so that going forward, you will understand the book of Revelation much better, right? So Zechariah 1:7. Upon the
20th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sebat, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of Yah unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were their red horses, speckled and white. Then said I, O my master, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will shew thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are they whom Yah had sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel of Yah that stood among the myrtle trees and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sits still and is at rest.
So the angel of Elohim, who controls all things, is sending spirits to the world, and they are reporting, and then the angel is telling them what is going on. And these spirits say, we have come from walking to and fro from the earth, and behold, there is
the
peace.
earth sits still and is at rest. Then the angel of Yah answered and said, O Yah of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? And Yah answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith Yah of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
So unless you understand this context, you won't understand. And this is the burden of the angels. They care about nothing if it is not about the people of Elohim. So when the angel that represented these nations came and said the earth is at rest, what that simply means is we are at liberty to move how we want. We are chilling. So when the angel heard that, he was grieved, and he began to pray to Yah and said, Elohim, why is it that the world is chilling, but your people, they are suffering? So then the angel, or Elohim, spoke to the angel and said, take heart, I am coming. So that is the context, and we are continuing. Next slide, Zechariah 1:16. Therefore, thus saith Yah,
I am returned to Jerusalem with mercy. My house shall be built in it, said Yah of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus says Yah of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and Yah shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then lifted I up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns.
So first he saw 4 horsemen being led by an angel. And then in the Zechariah 1:16, now again he is seeing, and now he says, behold, I saw 4 horns.
And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these?
And when the prophet saw it, he said, what are these horns that I'm seeing?
And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem.
And he answered me, and the angel said, these horns that you are seeing, they are the ones that have scattered
Jerusalem and Judah.
They are the ones that have brought about the calamity upon your people. So what he's saying in 1:16 is the same as what Elohim said in the verse before that, when he said, I was yet a bit angry, and the heathens, they have stretched forward the calamity. They went above and beyond. It is the same thing now. He's seeing it in another fashion. And Yah shewed me 4
carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it.
You see? So these 4 horsemen and these 4 horns, they represent exactly the same thing. What a horn represents usually in the Bible, it represents strength. It represents power. Sometimes you hear, may Elohim exalt your horn. Sometimes you are sleeping and you dream that you have a horn. It does not mean that you are El Shaitan, as many people think, because they think, oh, Shaitan, oh, the devil has horns. If you are strong, you also should have horns. So that's all it means. It simply means you have power. So these 4 horns, Elohim is saying, these are the 4 powers that are destroying the people of the book, the people of the Holy Covenant. But in the latter time, said Yah, I will send the 4 carpenters and they will destroy these horns. But we are not to deal with the 4 carpenters. We have to focus on the 4 horns and the 4 horsemen because they are the one and the same. So going forward, Zechariah now 6:1, the same Zechariah, the same book.
And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the 4th chariot grizzled and bay horses. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my master? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the master of all the earth. The black horses which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzled go forth towards the south country. And the bay went forth and sought to go, that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, get you hence and walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. Then cried he upon me and spake unto me, saying, behold, these that go forth towards the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country.
Zechariah. So what he's basically telling you, this is the precursor to the revelation of John in the book of Revelation. Everything that's why we have told you oftentimes, you can never understand anything of the New Testament without the context of the Old. And there is no prophet alive who can come up with new insights or establish new doctrines, and the Old does not support it. So he's telling you about where these 4 horses are coming from. They are servants to Elohim, just like the devil is a servant of Elohim. And they are sent towards all the nations of the earth, but their main center of operation is the north country. And when he's telling you, behold, I saw 4 horses coming out of the 2 mountains, these 2 mountains are the 2 fathers of these European nations that we've told you often. When we were dealing with the 4 kingdoms, we told you how Greece, which is the 3rd kingdom, and Rome, which is the 4th kingdom, they are one and the same because they are the same people. And these 4 horses, they are coming out of these 2 mountains. They are coming out of these 2 kingdoms, Grecia and Rome. That's where they are coming from. And when he says these horses that went to the north, they have quieted my spirit. What he's saying is they have quenched my spirit in the north country. So when these people of the north country, they have quenched me spiritual. Meaning for me to function there, it is taking me effort. For Elohim to function in the north country, where Babylon is working 100%. Where even the way we speak, if we are not careful, YouTube will just block us. So he's telling you where their base of operation will be, and he's already pointed you towards the 3 last kingdoms, and he's pointing you towards the north. So having that context, now we are allowed to deal with revelation. Because without that context, it will make no sense. You will wonder, hey, where's this horse? Where's this coming from? Where do I place it? You can only place it if you understand Zechariah telling you the four horses, they are coming from the north. That's where their base of operation is. And their number one indignation shall always be towards the people of Elohim. If you don't have that context of who is suppressing Israel, you won't understand Revelation 6. Having established that, now let's jump to Revelation 6. And now let's read it so you may know who the people of the white horse are. Revelation 6 and 1.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And behold, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a green horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
So those are the 4 horses that Zechariah also saw. Now John is seeing them again, but he's telling you what their specific missions will be per horse. And he's talking about all the 4, and today we'll focus on the white one. And for the white one, it says, "And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." Meaning it was given unto him to take over. It was given unto him to dominate. It was given unto him to crush under his heel. It was given unto him to exercise power, dominion, and authority. Right? So the next slide. And I want you to understand something. Because many people, when they read about the guy sitting on the white horse, without context, you may mistake him for the Messiah. Because is the Messiah not called the King of Kings, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah? However, the white horse of Revelation 6 is not the same like the white horse of Revelation 19. In the book of Revelation, there are 2 persons riding on a white horse twice. So unless you know who is who, your doctrine will be messed up. So now let's look at Revelation 19 and 11 to remove the confusion. And I saw
heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True.
One second. Is there a question? Okay. So what is the question?
The question is, previously, when I would read Revelations, I could not place whether these horsemen are evil or not. I thought that they were to execute judgment on the earth. How should I view them?
You should view them like you view Pharaoh in Egypt. You should view them like you view Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon. They are the workmen and the tools of Elohim, and Elohim will use them for a purpose to expedite his plan, but they are evil. And after they have done their task, Elohim will punish them. That's how you ought to view them. So it is an evil nation doing evil things, but it is all in the line and the agenda of Elohim, and afterwards, he will punish them. That is how you ought to view these 4 horses. Shall we continue? All right. Revelation 19 and 11.
And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of Yah. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goes the sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of El Shaddai. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Ruler of Rulers. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophets that wrought miracles before him, and with which he deceives them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeds out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh.
So if you read this chapter and you compare it to Revelation 6, there are some similarities, but then again, there are differences. And the wisdom is found in the differences. The white horse of Revelation 6 was meant and sent to conquer. However, the king coming on Revelation 19 will also come and conquer. And eventually there will be a clash between the white horse of Revelation 6 and the white horse of Revelation 19. However, only one of them is the original. Only one of them is the redeemer of the people of Elohim, and the other stands for the beast and the false prophet and his army. And unless you know who is who, you will end up worshiping one and not the other. And for many of you, you see the picture, the guy with the gray beard, red eye, you're like, yeah, it's so scary. Just wait and see. So we go to the next slide. I wanted to summarize Revelation 6 for you before we can continue and before we can deal with the answer. Who are the people of the white horse? So once again, Revelation 6 and 2, it says,
And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
That is the first. Revelation 19:11. And I saw again.
Heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And
so that passage is identical. Continuing.
And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True.
Only this one has characteristics of not only conquering, but is also called faithful and true. And he is in righteousness, he does judge
and make war.
So I wrote down, understanding the book of Revelation, most started
when the final kingdom, Greece and Rome,
which are the two mountains,
started. It talks about the transition from the final earthly kingdom to the kingdom of the Messiah. There are two riders on two white horses. One is the Messiah to usher in the kingdom of heaven, and one is the final kingdom before that, also known as the fourth kingdom.
That is what you have to understand. The people of the white horse, or the people of the four horsemen in Revelation 6, they come into play when we are dealing with the final kingdom. Everything before that is irrelevant. If you look at the book of Revelation carefully, the whole focus is on the final kingdom. The whole focus is on the last clash just before the kingdom of heaven starts. If you don't understand that, you won't be able to interpret the book of Revelation. So then we go to Daniel 2 and 40. You will see how this white horse, why was he white? Why did he come to conquer in the name of peace? What are his attributes? Now we'll begin to dissect his deeds. Daniel 2 and 40. It says, and the fourth kingdom
shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things, and as iron that breaks all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great Elohim had made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
So what you just read in Daniel 2:40 to 45 is a summary of what you read in Revelation 19. How the final kingdom will be subdued when the Messiah comes. The Messiah that comes on the white horse, it is he that will come, and he will destroy and break into pieces all the kingdoms that were before him. And he will establish the everlasting kingdom. To confirm it with prophecy, Second Esdras is also saying exactly the same thing. Because Daniel is saying the fourth kingdom will be destroyed when the Messiah comes. Now Esdras will also say it, but he will give the fourth kingdom another name. He will give the fourth kingdom another name. Second Esdras 6:9. He says, for Esau
is the end of the world,
and Jacob
is the beginning of it that follows.
Unless you have the context we just gave you, you won't understand this Second Esdras. Esau standing for the final kingdom, the Romans. They are the end of the world as we know it. And Jacob is the beginning of that which comes. Because the kingdom of Jacob is the kingdom of heaven, is the kingdom of Israel, is the kingdom of the Messiah. And you need context. That's why we read Zechariah first, for you to understand that the kingdom of heaven is for the Hebrews. That's why it is called, for Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. But just to confirm it more, I illustrated it for you very nice, for you to see. Before we go to another subject, before we go into deeper details, pinpointing the people and stuff. You see this picture here. Matthew 24:24. It says, for there shall arise
false messiahs and false prophets that shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
That's the issue. When you look at the left picture, when you look at the left picture and you look at the right, both of them on a white horse, both looking glorious, but one has the sun with him and he's glorious, and he looks like the depiction of Revelation 1:14, where they speak about how the Messiah looks like. Hair white as wool, face as it burned in a brass, meaning he's a dark-colored man. And then you have the one on the left. We don't know his depiction, but people think that he is who they call the Messiah. So you look at all these things, that is where the Bible speaks about the Antichrist, which many people don't understand. When you show them the picture on the right, they're like, no, this can't be. All of them want a blue-eyed, blonde-haired savior, not knowing that that is the Antichrist, of which the Messiah warned the world, saying, if it was possible, they will deceive the very elect. That is why this one also has a white horse, because he is trying to imitate the Messiah. Only he will lack the attributes of righteousness. He will lack the attributes of faithfulness. He will have the attribute of a snake. He will be a liar. He will be a murderer. He will have no desire for women. He will worship the God of weapons. Those are his traits. So we are continuing, just so you see how deep this deception goes. Continuing, who are the people of the white horse? Now, I think this one I won't explain much, because it is explaining itself as you read. So read for us. Joshua 61:23.
And at the revolution of the year, the troops of Africa continued coming to the land of Kittim to plunder as usual. And Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, who is Edom, heard their report, and he gave orders concerning them, and he fought with them, and they fled before him, and he delivered the land of Kittim from them. And the children of Kittim saw the valor of Zepho, And the children of Kittim resolved, and they made Zepho king over them, and he became king over them. And whilst he reigned, they went to subdue the children of Tubal and all the surrounding islands. And their king Zepho went at their head, and they made war with Tubal and the islands, and they subdued them. And when they returned from the battle, they renewed his government for him, and they built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat. And they made a large throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Kittim and over the land of Italia 50 years.
So Zepho being a descendant of Esau. Remember, Ezra says, Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is he that cometh after. And we told you how Esau is linked to the Roman Empire. Now, the book of Yeshua is giving you context. How Zepho, the albino African, he's also a Hebrew, but he's not a Hebrew Israelite. He's a Hebrew Edomite. How he infiltrated first the king of Egypt. Because this king, what was his name? What's his name? King of Africa, I think his name was Agias of Adinaba, whatever. Mm-hmm. If you read the book of Joshua, you will see it written.
Angeas,
the king of Africa. Mm-hmm. So Zepho was in a long time in league with him. Afterwards, they began to infiltrate Chittim. And it is easy to infiltrate Chittim if you go through North Africa, you go to the Spain Peninsula, and you reach all the areas there. So he was able to infiltrate Chittim. Chittim is nothing else but Greece and Italia. Greece, Italia, Spain, those areas are what we know as Chittim. And he went there and he ruled over the people of Italia or Chittim. So Yeshua 19:8, and the children of Chittim
ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Kittim.
Because at that time, Edom was still yet found in Africa. But as Zepho became their king, they came and they began to totally take over. Continue reading.
And the children of Kittim ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Kittim, and became one kingdom from that day. And from that time, they could no more lift up their heads, and that kingdom became one with the children of Kittim.
One day we will deal with this subject as well, the Hebrew Edomites, because we oftentimes only talk about the pure Edomite, which is Amalek. But you also have the Hebrew Edomites. You will still find them in many places in Africa today. Especially even amongst the Igbos, you will still find the red-headed Africans. But that is maybe a crazy subject for another day. But so you saw how the people of Chittim, with Zepho as their leader, began to come down and they took over the people of Edom, which were at that time still found in Africa. Continue reading.
In 1 Maccabees 1, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. And he made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up.
So you see the link? Joshua tells you how Zepho, an Edomite, came to Chittim and he took over and he was their king. And then we go to 1 Maccabees. These two books are not found in your Bible. And they are linking things that you cannot link without these two books. So when you see an Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, this Macedonia is Chittim. So it is showing you how it continues. So this Alexander, the Macedonian, he is of Chittim. And around that time, the Edomites and the people of Chittim already became one people. They already became one people. So now when you see Ezra saying Esau is the end of the world, Jacob's the one that follow it, Esau is Chittim, and Chittim is Rome. That is why he says they are the end of the world. So I wrote down for you, Esau is
the end of the world.
No, below.
Esau is Edom,
which is
Kittim,
which is
Greece,
which is
Macedonia,
which is
Alexander the Greek,
which is
Rome,
which is
Europe,
which is
USA,
which is
Mystery Babylon.
And you're like, what? But I will show you as we are continuing still. So Daniel 8:18.
Now, as you were speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face towards the ground. But he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know that what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the set apart people. And through his policy also, he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart.
Now this is key. And by
peace shall destroy many.
And by
peace
shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So it is telling you how the Grecian kingdom, and on the right, you see a picture of Alexander the Greek. And do you see how he has depicted himself? With ram's horns. I don't know if you can see it. Through the hair, he has depicted himself with ram's horns. This is a coin, and this is how he would like to portray himself. Because he always liked to associate himself with the ancient gods. Because he always tell people, I have the blood of gods in me. Simply telling you, I have the blood of the fallen angels in me. But people would not understand. So he would come, take over, die. His 4 generals would take over. The 2 predominant ones will be the king of the south, and also I think the name was Epiphanes, who would go and take over the Middle East. And through this Epiphanes, he would cause the oblation to cease. And the book of Daniel will tell you, I think we'll come there on the next slide, how a host would be given unto him. And through this host, he will be able to do many exploits, right? However, his trademark would be that by peace shall he destroy. How are you able to destroy by peace? This is how the white horse symbology now kicks in. How this white horse, it comes in the name of peace. But how can you come in the name of peace, but you have a sword and a bow? How has a sword ever brought peace? When you have a sword, you are coming to destroy, to hunt, and to conquer. That's why people are, no, it's Rome. It's not just Rome. It started with Greece. They are the ones who came through their policies and they took over. Right? So I wrote down, skip the Esau's Edom already. You already read that. But read the Western civilization.
In broader historical context, both Greeks and Romans are sometimes referred to as part of a larger concept of Western civilization. This term acknowledges their shared contribution to the foundation of Western culture and philosophy.
That's it. That's why usually they are always spoken of in the same breath. When we speak of the West, when we speak of Mystery Babylon, when we speak of Edom, Rome, Greece, the same people, the same mindset, the same mind of the beast. That is what 666 is, a Western mindset. So we are continuing, right? So now I explained all these things. We read all these books. But now we will use one character to establish the link between Edom and Rome. And this is without any secular source. This is just pure Bible. We will let the scriptures tell you who is who. That is why reading genealogies in your Bible is very important. When Elohim leaves something, When Elohim tells you about a certain nation, he's not telling it because he has nothing to do. He's telling it because if you are serious and you begin to link and trace them, you will get your answer. So just pure from looking at a person in the Bible, you will see how Edom is Greek, is Rome. So let's look at a character by the name of Haman. Many of you know Haman. Many of you know that he was an enemy of the Jews, but you never understood why did the guy hate the Jews so much. It is never clearly explained. The only thing you read in the Bible is, and Mordecai did not want to bow. So you not bowing to me, will that motivate me to want to destroy your entire nation? Not even Satan is that wicked. So what caused the hatred of Haman? You will see. So Esther 13 and 10. This is Esther from your Apocrypha, not from your Bible, because this is also something they removed. And is it a coincidence that the books they removed, they tell you real stuff? They connect all the dots that you were missing. So as Job said, who is hiding the face of the judges thereof? Who removed these books? Because the Ethiopian Bible, who is untouched, has all these things. The Ethiopian Bible has the book of, has the Apocrypha. The Ethiopian Bible has the book of Enoch. But we come to Europe, United States, King James, we don't have these things. The King James 1611 still has it. But your modern Bible don't have it. So this is the book of Esther from your Apocrypha. It says, for Haman,
a Macedonian.
Your original Bible does not have this. They call Haman there the Agagite. But now Esther in the Apocrypha is saying, for Haman,
a Macedonian.
And we established Macedonia was?
Greece.
Was Greece. Mm-hmm. Alexander was also called a what?
A Macedonian.
Mm-hmm. Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian. Mm-hmm. So Haman in the book of Esther is of the same race as Alexander, the Greek. Mm-hmm. And we know the whole of Europe, to them, Alexander is the champion. He's a Champions League. They made this documentary on Netflix. What's it called? Alexander.
The making of a god.
The making of a god. So now it's telling you that Haman,
mm-hmm, a Macedonian,
was of the same race and nation as Alexander. Haman, a Macedonian, the son of
Amadata,
mm-hmm,
being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received us.
Now the Medo-Persians are telling you, this Haman guy, he's not linked to us. When it comes to blood, because at that time, these people, Ahasuerus and Xerxes, they were Negroes. They are the Pacific Islanders, the black Indians you see. They were Negroes, and they're saying this Haman is a stranger of our blood.
Mm-hmm. And far distant from our goodness,
mm-hmm,
and as a stranger received us.
So Esther 9:4, it is linking. Mm-hmm. It's not telling you, for Haman,
the son of Hamadata,
the
Agagite,
the enemy
of all the Jews.
So first he's telling you, Haman is a Macedonian. Mm-hmm. Then again, it is telling you, Haman, not only a Macedonian, he is also an Agagite, mm-hmm, and an enemy of the Jews. Mm-hmm. So now you go to your Bible that you know it. 1 Samuel 15:8. Who were the Agagites? And it says, and he took
Agag,
the king
of the Amalekites, alive, mm-hmm, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword.
So stop there. Now we jump. Genesis 36:12. Who was Amalek?
Mm-hmm.
It says, and Timnah
was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son.
And she bare to
Eliphaz, Amalek.
These were the sons
of Ada, Esau's wife.
So again, we jump. Genesis 36:16. Mm-hmm. It says Duke.
Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek.
These are
the dukes that came of Eliphaz
in the land
of Edom.
These were the sons
of Ada.
So once again, so that you know that we are not crazy. So then I wrote down below again, Edom is.
Esau.
Esau is.
Amalek.
Amalek is.
Agag.
Agag is.
Macedonia.
Macedonia is.
Greece.
Greece is.
Rome.
Rome is.
Europe.
So when we say who are the people of the white horse, people, what do you see on the next slide? The people of the white horse are Edom,
Greece,
Rome, and their children, Britain, Europe, the French, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, the United States. Are you with me so far? Are there any questions? Russia and China and Japan, that when we deal with Gog and Magog, we will shoot them in because they are there, but because they are mixed with the Persians, it's a bit, the list that I'm showing you here is the pure blood, is the Amalek, is the one who Elohim cannot forgive. Is the one whom Elohim cannot forgive. The one of whom Elohim said, and I will have war with Amalek forever.
Right.
That's them. So what's the question?
The question is, but how did Agag's line continue? Amalekites were killed by Saul, and Samuel killed Agag himself.
Samuel was disobedient. He did not kill all.
Saul.
Samuel. Saul did not kill all. It did not kill all. So somewhere, some fled and some were able to escape.
And the verse that you just quoted also answers that. The fact that Elohim says that he will have war with Amalek
forever
until the end of the world.
Forever. How will you have war with me forever, but all my kin folks are dead? So it stands to reason that Elohim knew for somewhere Amalek is still thriving. So now you know where the bitterness of Haman came from. Because he was looking at Esther, you people, you destroyed our line. That's the hatred where it came from. So now you see the link between Edom and Greek and Rome in your own Bible.
And sorry, also to add to that, Esther's, of course, also far after Samuel. And Haman wasn't Agagite, Amalekite, so they were still there.
They were still there, far after. Yeah? So the people of the white horse, the people of the four horsemen, they represent this final kingdom. Yeah? So if that is clear, we can now jump because of time. I'm on slide 15, we still have 35. So the European conquest and how it is different from the other conquests. We all are aware of the Babylonian conquest, the Medo-Persian, as we dealt with that, Greek, Roman, the Arab, the Mongolian by Genghis Khan, European. All of these nations have for a period of time
conquered some parts of the world,
but never
the entire world,
except
for the Greek in conjunction with the Romans and later on the Europeans.
Genghis Khan didn't go to the Americas. He couldn't. He couldn't. King Nebu did not go to the Americas. He couldn't. He didn't even reach China. The Medo-Persians did not go, they reached China, but they didn't go to the Americas. The Greeks, Alexander, did not go to the Americas. He took parts of the Middle East. He didn't go to China, and he took parts of North Africa. He didn't even go to the mainlands of Africa. And he was protecting that area. And when I deal with how they killed the Indians, I'll show you how Elohim protected the mainland of Africa. However, the extension of Alexander, the Romans, they also didn't go to the Americas. They took over Africa, Middle East, Europe, etc. But their descendants, Britain, France, Portugal, they went as far as the Americas. They went as far as New Zealand. They went as far as Australia. So when you look at all the conquests, it are only the Europeans who can say and boast and say, we have subdued the entire world. No other nation before that was able to do that. That's why I had to show you how these people are the same. Greek, Rome, Europe, United States, they are one family. And as single nations, they didn't do it. But if you look at their line and their rulership, you can say they are the people who went about to conquer. And they conquered not a portion of the world, the entire world. They conquered the entire world. And now because of time, we are continuing. What are the 5 ways through which the Europeans have taken over the world?
Mm-hmm.
So 1,
religion. 2, economics. 3, military might. 4, education. And 5, cross-breeding.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about the European conquest over the world is that they usually would always come in the name of peace or religion whilst hiding their nebulous intentions.
Mm-hmm.
They did this to Africa, to the Americas, and Middle East.
They did it to India. They did it to China. They did it to Japan. They did it everywhere. Come in the name of peace, but then take over. However, what is especially interesting is because they took over India, they took over the Middle East, they took over Australia, the Pacific Islands, they took over the Americas, they took over Africa, and of course, the first place they took over was Europe. That was their home base, right? But what is interesting with this is, that is why when you read Zechariah and Revelation, the indignation of these nations will always be against the people of Elohim. That's why the angel was angry in the book of Zechariah. Because when they came to Africa, before they came, we had our own belief system. After they left, almost 90% of sub-Saharan Africa became Christians. They went to Latin America, where the children of the Africans are the slaves. And the whole of Latin America are Catholics, which is also Christianity. North America, Christians, right? Because those are the 2 continents where especially the people of Elohim are. However, they also colonized India. But why did they not turn the Indians into Christians? They left the Indians and their religion alone. Have you ever thought about why they did that? They colonized Japan, but they did not turn the Japanese into Christians. They left them with Shinto. They left them alone. They went to the Middle East. When we will deal with Islam, you will realize how this is maybe after the Hebrew Israelites, the Arabs are the biggest deceivers of the world. Because Islam is nothing but an offshoot of Christianity. Don't let anyone fool you. Islam is the invention of the Catholic Church. Literally. Do not let anyone fool you with the monarchs and no. Islam as you know it. And the people of Saudi Arabia and their own men, it is nothing but an invention of the Catholic Church. Also means to control. And so they left the Arabs with Islam. But everywhere where the people of the book were, they had to Christianize them. That is also for a reason. So I wrote down the 5 religions or the 5 ways Europe takes over the world. Religion, economics, military might, education, and crossbreeding or intermarriage. Yeah, so we will take our time, go to some of these 5 points because we won't do all of them. I don't know if it's possible. But religion is the number 1. I think someone says religion is the opium of the masses. It's a drug, the droga. So looking at this table, these are all the main religions in the world. Number 1 is
Christianity
with 2.2
billion followers.
Number 2 is
Islam,
which is Christianity. with 1.8
billion followers.
Number 3
is Hinduism with 1.1 billion followers.
Number 4
is Buddhism with 500 million followers.
5
And then Shinto.
6
is Sikhism with
7
25 million, and then Judaism.
So number 1, number 2, and number 6 is the same thing. And so if the whole world consisting of so many people, how do you think that the most people that believe in a God are Christians? Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Where is the base of the Christian faith? Next slide. Now, before we even go to the next slide. No, yeah, let's jump. Where's the base of the Christian faith? Is it not the Vatican?
Mm-hmm.
So the base of the Christian faith is the Vatican. The whole of Europe, it is now that they have, that's why the Bible even said they will reject the God of their fathers. And then they will have no desire for women anymore, and they will worship the God of horses. That's why many of the Europeans now, they have rejected the God of their fathers, which is Jupiter, which is Apollo, which is Jesus, which is Zeus. But the base of the Christian faith is Vatican. Because for a period of time, the whole of Europe were Catholics. Christianity, as you know it, is a European belief. It is a European belief. Donald Trump, when he was inaugurated, put his hand on the Bible and said, I'm a Christian. Barack Hussein Obama is a Christian. Hillary Clinton, George Bush, Tony Blair, Sarkozy, Putin. These people, they are Christians. They are Christians. How did they take over this religion? We'll go to this. This is just quick. This is just quick. So you may know how the world became Christians. So I wrote that in hoc signo
Vinces,
which means
by this sign conquer.
The famous
words that Constantine heard that made him to convert to Christianity, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
So the Edict of Milan, it was a proclamation that permanently established religious toleration for Christianity within the Roman Empire. It was the outcome of a political agreement concluded in Milan between the Roman emperors Constantine I and Licinius in February 313.
And then later,
in AD 325, Constantine called the Council of Nicaea in an attempt to unify Christianity.
Do you know when the Quran came into being and when Islam became an organized religion? AD what? 400 something. They set up this and they set up Islam. But we'll deal with that. So Constantine called the Council of Nicaea
in an attempt to unify Christianity. Constantine envisioned Christianity as a religion that could unite the Roman Empire, which at that time was beginning to fragment and divide. While this may have seemed to be a positive development for the Christian church, the results were anything but positive. Just as Constantine refused to fully embrace the Christian faith, but continued many of his pagan beliefs and practices, so the Christian church that Constantine promoted was a mixture of true Christianity and Roman paganism.
That is why we refuse to be called Christians today. And people don't understand. There is the Christianity before Constantine, and there is the Christianity after Constantine. The Christianity, if you like to call it that, because the people of the book did not call themselves Christians, the Romans called them Christians. They called themselves by many names. The Messianics, the people of the way, by many names. By many names. Constantine came, first oppressing the Hebrews in the time of the apostles, in the time of John the apostle. That is why he had to flee to the island of Patmos, where he was imprisoned by the Romans. But later on, Constantine saw, hey, this religion is doing things. And because the Romans always were like, let's try to take over, and we don't impose our religion on people. So he began to look at how can I establish a peace in all of the Roman Empire. The answer was, let's mingle all the belief systems. Let's take some of Shintoism, some of Buddhism, some of Christianity, some of Mithraism, some of our Roman pantheons. Let's bring it together into one faith. That's what the word Catholic Church means. It means a universal church. They have mixed all the religions into one. And thus came about Christianity. That's why we strongly oppose Christianity as it is today. The European Christianity is the Christianity of Constantine, where they have amassed together all belief systems under one. That is the mystery of iniquity. That's why we say the Christianity of today is not the belief system of the Messiah. Paul would be disgusted with what the people do today who call themselves Christians. The doctrine is messed up. The belief system is messed up. They have messed up everything. They replaced the original people. They have placed in an imposter people. They replaced the original Messiah and they placed in an imposter Messiah, all through the guise of Constantine. And that is why we oppose it. But it was this Christianity of Constantine that he was able to conquer the whole world. And he said that one day when he was going on a war path, all of a sudden he saw a light in the heavens and he saw a sign of a cross and he heard a voice. And the voice told him, in hoc signo vinces, meaning by the sign of the cross, you will conquer. So he went about conquering the whole world through religion. That is why your African father is a Christian. That is why in Brazil, when Neymar scores a goal, he does this. He says, I believe in Jesus. Neymar does not believe in Jesus. His fathers did because they were colonized. That is the issue. So we are going to the next slide. The supremacy of the Roman bishop or the papacy
was created with the support of the Roman emperors, with the city of Rome being the center of government for the Roman Empire, and with the Roman emperors living in Rome, the city of Rome rose to prominence in all facets of life. Constantine and his successors gave their support to the Bishop of Rome as the supreme ruler of the church. Of course, it is best for the unity of the Roman Empire that the government and state religion be centralized. Whilst most other bishops and Christians resisted the idea of the Roman bishops being supreme, the Roman bishop eventually rose to supremacy due to the power and influence of the Roman emperors. When the Roman Empire collapsed, the popes took on the title that had previously belonged to the Roman emperors, Pontifex Maximus.
So basically,
what we see here is that by the influence of the world's most powerful man at that point in time, the Roman Empire all of a sudden became Christians, but they became it not after the way of holiness, but they mingled with the holy faith, pagan customs and ancient traditions, and afterwards conquered the whole world under the flag of Christianity and the guise of peace.
So now when you read that and you read Revelation 6 and 1, you will understand it better when it says verse 2, and I saw and behold
a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
That is how they came in. They came into Africa through the missionaries. In the name of peace, they came and they began to first dismantle the priesthood. That was always what they did. Because as long as we Africans had the spiritual contact, we were unbeatable because we would have forces fighting on our behalf. So they would always come in every African nation, dismantle the priesthood, dismantle the priesthood, dismantle the priesthood, and then take over the people. They went to the Americas, the same thing. We will show you some examples how they come in using religion, take over a nation, and then steal their natural resources, kill the people, send them as slaves, take over by military, murdering people. These are their tactics. These are their tactics. Coming in the name of peace, but murdering, killing, plundering. So Vatican already showed you. So let's first start. Religion as a tool to conquer. About the Jesuit order.
During the Age of Discovery, the Catholic Church inaugurated a major effort to spread Christianity in the New World and to convert the Native Americans and other indigenous people. The missionary effort was a major part of and a partial justification for the colonial efforts of European powers such as Spain, France, and Portugal. Christian missions to the indigenous peoples ran hand in hand with the colonial efforts of Catholic nations. In the Americas and other colonies in Asia and Africa, most missions were run by religious orders such as Augustinians, Franciscans, Jesuits, and Dominicans. A large body of scientific work exists examining entanglements between Jesuit missions, Western science emanating from Jesuit-founded universities, colonization, and globalization. Since the global Jesuit network grew so large as to necessitate direct connections between branches without passing through Vatican, Jesuit order can be seen as one of the earliest examples of global organizations and globalization.
So the Jesuit order can be likened unto what America calls a CIA. They are the secret branch when it comes to the religious order, and they are the ones who first went and infiltrate all the spiritual centers of the nations that they would like to take over. They are the ones that were trained the missionaries. Many of the missionaries were Jesuits because they were secret agents, steal the information, play it to their masters, and then tell them where are the weaknesses, what do the people believe in, how can we tackle them. That is how usually they would come and infiltrate a nation. So Walter Rodney, a Marxist, next slide.
Walter Rodney, a Marxist historian based at the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, developed an influential attack on Europe and how Europe underdeveloped Africa. He mentioned the missionaries. The Christian missionaries were much part of the colonizing forces, as were the explorers, traders, and soldiers. There may be room for arguing whether in a given colony the missionaries brought other colonialist forces or vice versa, but there is no doubting the fact that missionaries were agents of colonialism in the practical sense, whether or not they saw themselves in that light.
That is what they are saying, but we will show you that they saw themselves in that light and that they knew it, right? So we go to the next slide. In 1498, this is coming from Ignatius Loyola, Portugal obtained
a padroado, or right of patronage from Pope Alexander VI, by which it assumed exclusive political and commercial privileges over the eastern half of the world.
So the Pope literally said, you have a patronado, half of the world is yours. By the Catholic Church and the power of the Pontifex Maximus, meaning the bridge builder, meaning he's the one who stands in the stead of God. I give you the power over all Saracens and unbelievers to subdue them and conquer them by any means possible. Because before that, the Portuguese were afraid. Because even though they were devils contained. But when the Catholic Church, who stood in the stead of God, told them, you are exempted from hellfire. If you subdue the Saracens, they received liberty. So then they went.
Tied to these imperial privileges was a responsibility to support ecclesiastics and missionary efforts in the region that included Africa and its adjacent islands. King John III, nicknamed the Pious, was keen on exercising the rights and fulfilling the obligations that came with the padroado. He was a great benefactor of the nascent society of Jesus, which he managed to introduce to his dominions fairly early in the society's history. Jesuits were on high demand from the very beginning. In fact, Ignatius of Loyola, the society's founder and first superior general, spent much of his time rejecting requests to send his companions to different parts of Europe.
So when people would, can you imagine this? The Jesuits were in order because they were the first line of attack. They are likened, especially the IT people will know this term, they are likened onto the Trojan horses. They would go first, infiltrate. So the Jesuits were in high demand. Ignatius was their leader. There would come other Europeans saying, we want to conquer other areas of Europe, which is not yet conquered. Ignatius would say no. He was not interested in other parts. But read in what areas he was interested in.
He, however, went out of his way to ensure the Jesuits were available for the missions in the East, especially those in Ethiopia that were clearly instigated by the Portuguese monarchs. So important were the Ethiopian missions that the first Jesuit superior general was even willing to go there in prison.
Ever wondered why? He was so keen. He just had to go to Ethiopia. He had to go to South Africa. Ever wondered why? The people are so possessed and they are so obsessed with Southeast Africa to the point where they wanted to kill all the South Africans and they just have to be. So do you know why they I don't know why, but they are willing to die of skin cancer. But they just have, do you know why they just have to be in South Africa? What is it that they know about that place? About that place that you don't know? They know that that is the gate to the land. They know that is the place of this. They know it, so they're like, no, we have to be there. Hey, Edom, right? So we are continuing. So that is a source for you. And then we go to the next slide. So Africa after the Berlin Conference, which they also call the Congo Conference, the scramble for Africa. Then you see the whole of Africa. They took over almost everything. The only two nations that were not colonized was Liberia and Ethiopia. For the rest, they gobbled up everything. The French, the English, the Portuguese, the Germans, the Spaniards, the Italians, they took over everything. They took over everything. That is what is meant when they came and they conquered. And what they did to Africa, the whole of sub-Saharan Africa, they made either Christian or Muslim. Christian or Muslim. Christian or Muslim. Because they knew if you are a Christian, we control you. If you are a Muslim, we control you by proxy. But yet we control you. Because we control Mecca. And we control Saudi Arabia. And they know it. They know it. Every Arab is under Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is the best friend of America. And you think it's a coincidence? So we are continuing. So next slide, you see, look at the Jesuits. They left North America alone. They focused on sub-Saharan Africa, which we already told you is Bantu land, which we already told you is where the Hebrews were. They were so set on coming there, Christianizing the Hebrews or sending them to the Seychelles and San Tome and the Americas and sell them as slaves just to break their spirits. Some examples, how they use religion to take over. This is the letter of King Leopold sent to the missionaries. And he told them, reverence.
Fathers and dear compatriots, the task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgium interest. Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they know already. They speak and submit to a Mungu, one Zambi, one Zakumba, and what else I don't know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, or to lie and insult is bad. Have courage to admit it. You are not going to teach them what they know already.
But I thought that we were savages and we were monkeys and coons and we worship Satan and the devil. Look at what he's saying. He's saying, missionaries, please. Man, please. You are not going to teach them anything they don't know. However, if you are going there, you are going to steal. Just admit it. So continue reading.
Your essential role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrials, which means you will go to interpret the gospel in the way it will be the best to protect your interest in that part of the world. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in their underground. To avoid that, they get interest in it and make you murderers. A murderous competition and dream one day to overthrow you. Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find text ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty, like happier are the poor because they will inherit the heaven. And it's very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. You have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage to affront us. I make reference to their mystic system and their war fetish or warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon. And you must do everything in your power to make it disappear.
You see, this is coming from the horse's own mouth. When they came and they Christianized you, they made you abhor your culture. They made you abhor your mystic system, which was the priesthood. And by abhorring your mystic system, your warfare protection or the protection of Michael, your archangel, left you. All of a sudden, you died. And they took over. Because it makes no sense to put a well-abled African Bantu man with a well-abled European man. You put them in a ring, all things being equal, and they have to fight. Just be honest. 9 times out of 10, the Negro will subdue the European. So how were they able to destroy us? It's because we left our mystic system. We left the ways of the Father. We left it and became Christianized. And so they took over. This is a letter coming from Leopold. That is how they took over the DRC. That is how they took over my nation. Now you go to the next slide. Look at how they came. They came peaceful. Look at the guy coming. The Portuguese ambassador. He's kneeling. And the Congolese king sitting. They came in peace. They came in peace. They came to trade. Oh, we are strangers. How are you doing, O king? They would speak our language. And the next slide, later on, 1605, this happens. Nsaku, which means priest, Nevunda, whose Christian name became Dom Antonio Manuel. that is his name now. He was Nsaku Nevunda, but he became Dom Antonio Manuel. He became the first Christian ambassador to go to the Vatican. He kneeled before the cross. Remember, in hoc signos vinces, by this sign you will conquer. Look at the Jesuit guy. He's Christianizing the king of Congo. And all the others were like, if the king has become a Christian, we also must become Christians. And the moment they became Christians, the archangel Michael was like, I'm done. So he left. And as he left, his protection was with him. And DRC became, as Trump said, a shithole. That's what it became. It became that. The Europeans would come and plunder, and plunder, and plunder, and plunder. Leopold, they said when he came, the DRC had 30 million people. After he left, the DRC had 15 million. So he killed about 15 million. And you know, when a European gives you numbers, when it is their deaths, meaning if white people die, they increase the numbers. They tell you the Holocaust was 6 million. It was less than 1 million. It was less than 800,000. But they said was 6 million. They said was 6 million. So when they say 15 million Congolese died, you have to triple it. You have to triple it. That's what this guy did. Belgium, Europe, Edom. That's what they did to the DRC, and they took over, and we became a Christian nation. And some of the Angolese brothers, they are also Congolese. They are so proud of their name. My name is Pinto. My name is Salvador. And they are so glad that they have Portuguese names. Some of the Ghanaians, especially some of the Ghanaians, my name is Archibald. What's the guy's name? My name is Eastwood. And they are so proud that my name is Duncan Williams. So, people, we are continuing. Right? So this is Lord Macaulay addressing the British Parliament. He said, I have traveled
across the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture. For if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will abandon what we want them, a truly dominated nation.
People, these are the people scheming. These are the people scheming. You see what they saw to my nation. Now let's look at Ghana. So in 1895, the new colonial secretary,
Joseph Chamberlain, began to pursue an aggressive colonial policy based on enforced submission and humiliation. In 1896, the Asante was forced into exile in the Seychelles via Sierra Leone, and the Asante fell under the authority of the governor in Accra. Mm-hmm. There followed a full-scale military revolt led by the indefatigable Ya Ashantewa, or Queen Mother. This culminated in the governor being besieged in Kumasi. Ya Ashantewa was only defeated by a British expeditionary force in July 1900. Mm-hmm. In 1901, Ashanti was annexed by the British. Mm-hmm. Nana Prempe I, or that name, landed at the shores of Takoradi on Tuesday, 11th of November, 1924. Following his surrender of his kingdom and his arrest in 1896, he began 28 years of exile, starting in Elmina, then Sierra Leone, and eventually in the Seychelles. He returned with the following: all bearing Christian names, as they had all been baptized in the Anglican Church while in exile. He was baptized along with his mother on May 29th in 1904. He encouraged conversion among his Ashanti companions and embraced Western education.
People, this is what happened. How you Asantis and all you Ghanaian people, how you eventually accepted Christianity as a religion. During these Ashanti wars and stuff, sometimes you would win, sometimes you would lose, but you were still fighting because you were able to keep your golden stool, you were able to keep your spiritual system intact. Then they took this guy because he was rebellious. They shipped him to the Sechel. That's what they would do. They would take the stubborn ones, ship them to the proxy islands, and there they would rape them, mentally, physically, emasculate them, indoctrinate them. Do you think you can believe in God after you have been raped? Do you know what will happen to you? Your mind will break. You will develop an alter ego. And through that trauma, they are able to control you. And they removed the ancient Ashanti king's spirit and they placed in him an European spirit. And he took on a Christian name and he came back. After the brainwashing, they said, now you can return. And as he came back, people saw that he changed. He became a Christian. He and his mother baptized. And then all of the Ashanti kings in succession, they also change. They also change. And now go to Ghana. Christians, Kumasi Christians. They still have they still have the traditions and the Ashanti kings and stuff, but they're also Christians. So now the power, they have their traditions. We thank Yah for that, but no power. British slaves. Just like DRC, Belgium slaves. They steal your gold, everything. Slaves. And what's funny is, what happened to Nana Prempe is the same thing they did to Mandela. But you are blind to see. Mandela was revolting. He was fighting against the apartheid. What did they do? They took Nelson Mandela in prison. Many years. I'm telling you, they raped the guy. If you want to control a man, just rape him. The easiest. That's what they did to the slaves. That's what they did to these kings. A crazy red-headed guy raped him. And then his soul was broken. He was defiled. And then they began to indoctrinate him. Mandela came back and he was known as the Lord of Peace. All of a sudden, no rebellion in his bone anymore. And then he was like, I can't even imitate his voice. All of a sudden, his philosophy and stance on the apartheid changed. Instead of telling them, get out, he was like, let's find a common ground and let's share the country. I'm like, just bring it to reality. Just sit and read and begin to reason. I have my house, bought the house, built my house. Everything in my house is fine. My wife and children are in my house. I go to sleep. In the night, a thief comes. The thief comes and he beats my wife and my children. He binds them in a corner and tells them, this is not only your house, this is also my house. I will share your kitchen, your food, your bedroom. Everything is ours now. And not only that, we are the bosses. You will work for us in this house. And let's say I left and I come back and I see that this happened. Is it normal for me to say, okay, I understand. You know what? Let's share the house. Let's share the house. You get half. I get half. Is it clicking in your head? Is that making sense if I would come to that resolution? Would it not be justified if I came with a gun and I shot and killed the thief and everything that is his? That would be justified. In the United States of Texas, if you are in your house and someone trespasses, you have a shotgun. When the judge asks what happened, and you say they trespassed, the judge says, this is no case. It was self-defense. So can you imagine what Mandela did? What brought Mandela to that state? To sell his country, because people don't like to say it. Mandela sold South Africa. He sold out his nation. Just like Nsakane Wunda sold DRC. Just like Nana, all of our African leaders, they sold us out. They sold us out. All of them. All of them. So this is how they use religion as a tool to conquer. So I gave you 3 examples. I don't have to continue because of time, but this is how they took over Africa. So some say this is a quote of Jomo Kenyatta. Some say this is a quote of Desmond Tutu. Some say this is a quote of Stephen Biko. I don't know who made this quote, but the quote is making sense. So the quote says, when the missionaries
arrived, the Africans had the land and the missionaries had the Bible. They taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. When we opened them, they had the land and we had the Bible.
What a statement. But it is true. Look at us. Africans don't work, but Africans pray. Women don't want to listen to their husband, but they listen to the prophet. Africans don't have money, but they pay tax. Is it natural? What is happening? We Africans, we are more religious than Europeans. Europeans don't believe anymore. The Europe believes in weapons and science. We believe in Jesus. And since Jesus does not exist, there is no response. If we believe in Elohim, it will be a nut. But because we are calling, if you call unto empty, can empty respond? So Africa, Jesus, 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 Jesus. And the heavens are like, who is Jesus? Who is, so like, nobody knows. Has anyone seen Jesus? Who is Jesus? He does not exist. He does not exist. You are calling on the white horse of Revelation 6, but the one who's supposed to come and save you is the white horse of Revelation 19. But until you know that, you are calling on to 6. So the 6 came, and what did the 6 do? He conquered you. He killed you. He raped you because that is his nature. But the one of 19, when he comes, he will conquer them. Before he comes, you must first call unto him. That is why we are here. So we are continuing. Because of time, let's skip Africa and go to our brothers, the descendants of in the Americas. So the age of discovery. The age of discovery,
also known as the age of exploration, part of the early modern period and largely overlapping with the age of sail, was a period from approximately the 15th century to the 17th century, during which seafarers from a number of European countries explored, colonized, and conquered regions across the globe. The Age of Discovery was a transformative period in world history when previously isolated parts of the world became connected to form the world system and laid the groundwork for globalization. The extensive overseas exploration, particularly the European colonization of the Americas, with the Spanish and Portuguese and later the British at the forefront, spurred global trade. The interconnected global economy of the 21st century has its roots in the expansion of trade networks during this era.
So this is Chief Pontiac. Don't know who he is, but he said they came
with a Bible, and their religion stole our land, crushed our spirit, and now tell us we should be thankful to the Lord for being saved.
There are Christians in the United States. I think Thanksgiving is a Christian holiday, right? Hey, this world, we are literally the walking dead. Thanksgiving is a Christian holiday where you see all these Christian hypocrites sitting, eating turkey. And you see, especially these European, and they will be sitting and they dress so nice. And the guy is so proud of his family. Oh, I have my daughters and my sons, and they feel so sophisticated. And they hold hands. Oh, let us pray. And they feel so holy. Oh, Lord Jesus, thank you for my family. Thank you for the food. Thank you for the peace. Thank you for this turkey. Thank you that you've allowed us to live in peace, in harmony, but you are sitting on stolen land. You have shed innocent blood. Habakkuk the prophet said, woe unto the city built on blood. So who are you thanking? And just because you forgot something, does that make it all right? I killed your mother when I was drunk. I was drunk, and I forgot. I had a blackout. But you know that it was me. I left the scene. You couldn't catch me. 3 years later, we meet face to face, eyeball to eyeball. But I can't remember you, but you remember me. What will you do to me? Huh? You killed You're dead. I don't care if you forgot. No. But this is what these people do. They throw stones and hide their hands. What do we have to do with it? Our forefathers did it. So why are you still enjoying the infrastructure? Why are you still enjoying the privilege? Because I can also turn that around. Why do I have to be poor? What do I have to do with poverty? My forefathers were sold, but I am enjoying the fruit of what happened to my forefathers. So also you people are enjoying the benefit of what your forefathers did. Why don't you use the same logic when it comes to the Holocaust survivors? Why does America pay billions of money? Why does Germany still feel guilty for what Hitler did? And they still pay billions of money to the Israelis and their descendants. And they don't say, why has Germany never said, when it comes to what Hitler did, what do we have to do with it? Every German feels so guilty. But the same Germans, when you tell them, but what about slavery? You should see the indignation. This is ridiculous. What do I have to do with? So you feel guilt for what happened to the Israelis, but when it comes to the Negroes, who you also enslaved, you see the double standards. That is why you people, you will pay. That's why you will pay. Because the hypocrisy and the double standard, it is too obvious. It is too obvious. It is too obvious. But we are continuing. So they came. Look at the picture. This is how they came to the Americas. The guy is feeling so wonderful. I'm George. I am Albuquerque. I'm the great general. My name is Winchester. And you have the priest with him, the Jesuit priest. Look at the guy and all the other entourage. And they say, we have come to you savages, we have come to educate you. We have come to teach you the ways of our Lord Jesus. Because he's the true and the way, and he's the God. Whilst all the others behind him, they're looking, where's the gold? And the Indians are like, who are these people? Who are these people? So they came with their superiority complex. And this is a text, and this is a poem. It's called The White Man's
Burden.
So I wrote the phrase.
The White Man's Burden is closely associated with a poem of that name by Rudyard Kipling, which was first published in the Times of London on February 4th, 1899, and in the New York Sun on February the 5th. Kipling's poem asserts that it is the moral duty of the nations of the West to bring civilization to the less enlightened populace of the South and East to, as Kipling put it, your new caught sullen peoples, or half devil and half child. At the time of its publication, the U.S. Senate was debating ratification of the Treaty of Paris, negotiated by Spain and the U.S. to end the Spanish-American War. A major clause of the treaty would have turned over government of the 10 million people of the Philippines who were judged uncivilized to the U.S. On the day of the poem's publication, Filipino nationalists, not having been consulted about their status, began military operations against U.S. troops on Luzon. Kipling favored Philippine annexation and sent a copy of the poem to Theodore Roosevelt, then governor of New York. The phrase, the white man's burden, however, was not Kipling's coinage and appears a few times in print before 1899. The earliest known occurrence appears to be in the Methodist newspaper, the Southern Christian Advocate, for September the 21st in 1865.
You see what I mean? And you know what the Methodist is?
It's a Christian denomination.
That's it. You see how these people are? They walk around with this mindset. We are above you. We have to civilize you. You people know nothing. You people are nothing. That is the mindset that they have. That is the white man's burden. And this was the reason and the underlying reason why they felt so free to do unto all the other brown-skinned people in the world what they did. Because they felt superior and all the other people were inferior. So we are continuing about the age of discovery. During this time,
the European empires of Spain, Portugal, Britain, France, Russia, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden began to explore and claim the Americas and its natural resources and human capital, leading to the displacement and disestablishment, enslavement, sometimes even the genocide of the indigenous people in the Americas. During the Age of Discovery and the following centuries, the Spanish and Portuguese colonial empires were the most active in attempting to convert the indigenous peoples of the America to the Christian religion. Pope Alexander VI issues the Inter Caetera Bull in May 1493 that confirmed the lands claimed by the Kingdom of Spain and mandated in exchange that the indigenous peoples be converted to Catholic Christianity. During Columbus' second voyage, Benedict friars accompanied him, along with 12 other priests. With the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire, evangelization of the dense indigenous populations was undertaken in what was called the spiritual conquest.
So in Brazil, you see this sign, and all the Brazilians love it. But it is a sign of the rider of the white horse, the European Antichrist that comes in the name of peace to conquer. That's what they did. And the funny thing is, they called it the spiritual conquest, but what is even more funny, that's why by their words and by their deeds, you will find them out. How do you think the colonizers were called that went to Spain and Portugal and to the Americas? Their name was the
Conquistadores.
And the Bible said the white horse would come to conquer in the name of peace. They called themselves literally the conquistadors. So the conquistador, or
conquistadores in Spanish, or Portuguese, it simply means conquerors, was a term used to refer to Spanish and Portuguese colonialists of the early modern period. During the Age of Discovery, conquistadors sailed beyond Iberian Peninsula to the Americas, Oceania, Africa, and Asia, establishing new colonies and trade routes. They brought much of the New World under the dominion of Spain and Portugal.
That's it. And that's the name how they call themselves. So that you know and see, we are not making anything up, but we are continuing. We dealt with economics. I think economics and military, I will take like maybe just 5 minutes, because when we go into the Red Horse War and stuff, they will go more into that. However, so I said there are 5 means through which they control and take over. We took our time to usually deal with religion, because there's a number one tool that they have used, and it is the number one tool that is still keeping us down. If we can break free of this religious ideology that they gave us, and we can connect and reconnect to the spiritual principles we had before they came, we will be fine. That's why we had to take so much time to deal with that. And now economics, this one won't take long. The US dollar is the world's dominant
reserve currency, among other such currencies, including the euro, the yen, the pound, the renminbi, the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, and the Australian dollar.
So looking in the whole world, and at the whole world, the number one currency in the world is the US dollar. Almost every other currency is linked to the US dollar. Just to show you how they're not only conquering and having dominion through religion, but also through economy. Financial power of the world. The text says, is London
the world financial capital? New figures published on January 27th in 2022 by the City of London Corporation show that London continues to hold the top spot for financial and professional services in terms of overall offer when compared to other global destinations.
The other 4 are?
Including New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, and San Francisco.
So London, New York, San Francisco, all European nations. Also, when it comes to the money, as I told you, number one most used currency is the dollar, 59%, let's say 60. Number 2 is euro. So these European nations, once again, they hold about 80% of the world currency flows through their hands. If that is not dominion, I don't know what is. Yeah. So we are continuing. Financial, London, New York, San Francisco, all in the top 5. Militia and warfare. I won't go into this much, but this is the ranking, right? Number 1 nation when it comes to military power is
the United States.
Number 2,
Russia.
Number 3,
China.
4,
India.
5,
South Korea.
6,
UK.
7,
Japan.
8,
Turkey.
9,
Pakistan.
10,
and Italy.
I don't know what Italy is doing there, but it's their own private business, of course. However, number 1, you see the United States. Number 6, United Kingdom. All of them work together. And you see the United Nations or Europe, which is also considered as one, when they all combine, you will see that they are the number 1 people in the world ruling and taking over. America is even called the what? The police of the world. That is one of their titles. The police of the world. That's the United States. So that's militia and warfare, and then the Pentagon, military power of the world. But their warfare is not only through military power. It is also by, I don't know how you can call that. It is also because there is military warfare, but it's also, how do you call it when you, I think it should be biochemical. When you deploy diseases to fight, I think, yeah, you can call it biochemical. They also apply biochemical warfare, right? So read this, please. After European contact,
The native population of the Americas plummeted by an estimated 80% from around 50 million in 1492 to 8 million in 1650, due in part to old world diseases carried to the New World. Smallpox was especially devastating, for it could be passed through touch, allowing native tribes to be wiped out, and the conditions that colonization imposed on indigenous populations, such as forced labor and removal from homelands and traditional medicines. Some scholars have argued that this demographic collapse was the result of the first large-scale act of genocide in the modern era.
I think we will continue for like 10 to 15 more minutes and then we'll be done. So they said that this was the first act of a large-scale act of genocide in the modern era. And what they did was they used the diseases that they carried from Europe and they infected the Native Americans with it, which means the people were so unhygienic that they would give their blankets that had insects and bugs and smallpox and viruses. They gave it to the Native Indians, and the Native Indians would die because of the disease that these people carried. But they will tell you, you are disgusting. Whilst everyone and their grandmother knows, if you look at Africans, if you look at some of the Asian people even, it is a must for us to shower every day. We must, because of the sun and everything. I don't know if you guys have seen the series Shogun. If you see the series Shogun, this British barbarian, the Chinese call him a barbarian. They said, hey, guy, you have come into our palace. Won't you take a bath? And the British barbarian told the Chinese lady, are you crazy? I've already showered weeks ago. The Chinese, they were disgusted from what is wrong with these people. Many Dutch people will tell you how, not even 100 years ago, about 60 years ago, 40 years ago, many of them, they would shower once or twice a week. I went to the doctor some years back because my back was itchy. The doctor asked me, how often do you shower? I said, every day. The doctor said, you should not shower every day. I said, no problem. Could you just give me my medicine, please? And this is a doctor telling you should not shower every day. These are the people. So they went to Native America, gave them smallpox. And a part of smallpox, they were also killing them. While they were sick, they were killing them. And they brought down a population with 80%. These are the people of blood. And yet they will come and they will do what? Thanksgiving. You see these people? Thanksgiving. They did that to the Native Americans. That's why I told you there's a reason why they couldn't do that to Africa. Because if they could, they would. One of the reasons why they could not really penetrate Africa or stay there long or live in Africa, because that's why Argentina, they killed all the native people. They were living there. Why do you think they can't live in Africa like that? Elohim is not stupid, eh? Because his people are there. Elohim gave us the mosquito flies. The mosquito fly is not your enemy, it's your friend. Elohim gave us the mosquito flies. Elohim placed in our blood this sickle cell gene. Almost every Bantu person has the sickle cell gene. When I first thought I had it, or when they told me you are a carrier of the gene, I was shocked. I have the sickle cell gene. Oh, I didn't know if I should. I was shocked. But then, through research and stuff, and all of a sudden, I even forgot, I don't know how, but all of a sudden, there was this I think it was during one of the teachings on Bantu land or stuff. I think the minister spoke about how in one of the one of the books, I forgot which of the books it was. They were speaking about how the Europeans could not enter the mainlands of Africa because many of them, when they tried to enter, they would die because of malaria. They don't have the sickle cell gene.
That was also how David Livingstone, the missionary, died.
I don't know. But if that is true, then you see. So when I heard that, I was like, I said, Elohim, you are too much. This guy, I don't know. So the sickle cell gene that we carry, the Bantus, it was our natural protection. Elohim has placed it in us so that we are able to withstand malaria. And because the Europeans, many of them don't have it, when they come into Africa, malaria would have killed them. Now they have developed some anti-malaria stuff, but now they can't come and take over Africa because we are in a different time. But if they could come into Africa around the 1400s, they would have come. And what happened to South America would have happened to Africa. What you see in Argentina is just a small proof of what they would have done to us. And that's why I told you they don't care about dying when it comes to South Africa because they know the promised land is in that area. So they were like fire burn. If we have to die, we will die, but we'll go there. But they couldn't take over the other places because of the malaria, which is Elohim's protection for us. But they did it to the South Americans and they killed many of the Indians. But we with our, what's it called? We with our sickle cell gene, we are fine. We are still giving children. They are still carrying the genes and they are living. No, so we are continuing because of time. But that is the first case of biochemical warfare. However, they could not use other diseases, but they did something to Africa as well. This is also biochemical warfare. So this is a source. I don't have really time for this, so read it quite fast. A plot by
white mercenaries to spread HIV through Black South Africa via a phony vaccination program. It sounds like the stuff of pulp spy novels, but documentary maker Matt Brudger is clear that this is one sensational conspiracy that actually happened. Mm-hmm. The Danish director set out to investigate the mysterious 1961 plane crash that killed the head of the UN in modern-day Zambia for his latest film, but says he ended up uncovering something vastly more sinister. In Cold Case, Brugger meets Alexander Jones, a former member of clandestine paramilitary organization with alleged ties to South Africa's apartheid government. Jones tells the filmmaker that the group undertook neverous HIV research in the 1980s and 1990s as part of a white supremacist plot to devastate Black communities with the virus.
So because of time, what the guy is basically saying is there were a bunch of people with nefarious means, and they came to South Africa with the intention to destabilize the Black community. So they brought the HIV virus there. And they said, oh, this is suspicion. No, this is, what do they say? This is conspiracy. But this guy is not Black. That is one. And it's not just that. When you think of HIV, you think of the South Africans and the people of Africa especially. You're like, oh, Black people, it's a Black people disease. No. This is a source from NPR. It says, origin of AIDS linked to colonial practice in Africa. That's what they say. But read, Monday marks
the 25th anniversary of the first report of AIDS, but only recently have scientists come to conclusions about where HIV came from. The current thinking is that the colonial horrors of mid-20th century Africa allowed the virus to jump from chimpanzees to humans and become established in human populations around 1930.
That is what they say, and that is what they will still tell you. And if you go to school, you have to take a medical assessment, and they tell you where does AIDS come from, and you don't give this answer, they will sack you because it is their education system. They still say until today it came from monkeys in the Congo, and then it was transmitted to people And that is how the whole world was doomed with AIDS. That's what these people say. That's what they say. But there is still uncertainty
as to why AIDS was first discovered in Los Angeles and New York and not Cameroon, where scientists say it surely started.
Does that make sense to you? They discovered it. The first time they encountered AIDS was from a homosexual guy in LA. So how were they able to trace it all the way back to Africa? Is it making sense to you? Is it logical to you? So we are continuing. This is from history.com. In the late 1970s
and early 1980s, a virus that had previously appeared sporadically around the world began to spread throughout the United States. Originally identified as a gay disease because gay men were one of the primary groups afflicted. HIV and the syndrome it causes, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, were unknown in 1981, but had become household terms and the number one threat to public health by the late 1980s.
So you can stop there. So originally, HIV was called the what? The gay disease. Originally, HIV was called what? The gay disease. So and the reason why it is called the gay disease is because especially homosexuals, men with men, doing nefarious things in bed, they get this sickness. So how was this discovered in Africa? If it was called the gay disease and the first encounter of HIV ever recorded was in America, Los Angeles, it's to me, it's a logical link. But how did these people, I don't know how, they linked it to chimpanzees and human beings in Africa, right? So the next slide. 70% of new HIV infections occur amongst
gay and bisexual men.
Look at the picture on the right. National Gay Men HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. Remember what we told you? How did Alexander the Greek die? They themselves will tell you he died of a STD. That's just a nice way of saying the guy died of AIDS because he and his generals, they were bonking. And he eventually died. And the scriptures tells you they would have no regard for women and they would worship the god of forces. HIV is just Elohim's way of punishing homosexuals. Whether you like it or not, that's the truth. It has nothing to do with a chimpanzee, but this is what they will tell you because they control the media. And this is also a form of biochemical warfare because they use that, they stabilize South Africa, and now they are sitting there. You see, that's the people. And you want to join hands with these people. You celebrate them. Now education, 5 more minutes, then we are done. We showed you warfare, militia, a bit, biochemical, conquering. Now education, top 10 most spoken languages. First is
English.
Second,
Mandarin.
Third,
Hindi.
Fourth,
Spanish.
which is European. French, which is European. Portuguese, which is European. Russian, European. So in the top 10, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 languages that are in the top 10. And you can't educate without language. And before this, it was Rome or Italian or Latin. And before Latin, it was Greek. You see? That's how they ruled the world. And now it is English. Skip the education part because of time. I don't have time to go into the buckets and why you call yourself a bachelor and a master. It is all found within the mystery school system of education, which is also orchestrated by these Europeans. But I would skip education because of time. This one is maybe, should I deal with intermarriages? I think it speaks for itself, but no. What do you guys say? I think because I have 10 more slides. Did you?
No, 10 minutes. You said 10 minutes.
I said 10 minutes, but it's already 14:30. Okay. Hey, so I think the final thing that we will deal with is the intermarriages, because that is also how they took over. Maybe I will keep this for when we deal with Islam. Yeah, we will touch with this when we deal with Islam. So let's just conclude. I think it's best. I deal with some. Yeah, we will just conclude. You'll deal with this when we deal with Islam. So in conclusion, it's better. Revelation 6:1. And I saw.
When the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Revelations 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Daniel 8:8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven.
Now understand 8 and 10. This is important. And it waxed great,
even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them.
Verse 12. And an host
was given him against the daily sacrifice.
Now if you read this Daniel 8, verse 10, 12, and you read Revelation 12, verse 3 and verse 9, you see the similarities. Or don't you see the similarities? 6:1 tells you of a nation coming. 1, which is a white horse coming to take over. Then Revelation 12 tells you, and there was a wonder in heaven, a great dragon coming down, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And we told you these nations of the white horse and the horse riders, they are the European nations. This dragon in Revelation having 10 horns standing from the European families, as we have told you many times already. And it tells you this dragon was cast out, called the devil, blah, blah, and his angels were cast out with him, but he had received the power to deceive the whole world. Then Daniel comes and tells you about this nation, the Greeks. They would come, they would vex strong, right? Verse 10 tells you how they would go even to the host of heaven, and they will cast down the stars to the ground and stamp upon many. And in doing so, a host would be given unto him. What they are basically telling you is this Grecian nation, fallen ones would work along with them. So the exploits of Revelation 12 and the exploits of Daniel 8, it is a nation that is being empowered by Satan. And through these means, they are able to do all these exploits. That's all that it is saying. And then when you read verse 12, it says, and a host was given him against
the daily sacrifice.
They would especially focus on the people. The daily sacrifice stands for the people of the covenant. And they would, and a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of the sins of the people.
And it cast down the truth to the ground.
And they would take the doctrine as they did, they would turn it around and give you the Christianized Christianity as you know it. And it practice this religion, and they would prosper. Verse 24, and his power
shall be mighty, but not by his own power.
Because he will receive power of the host, the angels, the fallen ones, and he shall destroy
wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the set apart people.
And his focus shall be towards the mighty. That is why the angel in Zechariah, once again, he cried and said, Elohim, why is the world so at peace, but your people, they suffer? So 8:25, and through his policy
also he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands.
So I think you should understand the verses now. It should be plain and simple. So in conclusion, we have looked
at what is meant by the white horse of Revelation 6, who was sent to conquer the whole world. We have been able to identify it with Western world of today. We have been able to identify it with the Western world of today, known in the Bible as Edom. We furthermore have seen how these European nations deploy many tactics to subjugate the world, with religion as the number one weapon. The other weapons deployed are military, economic, and scientific or educational tactics, and also intermarriages, I believe. By demonstrating all these things, we hope it is clear as to who rules and has conquered this whole world in the name of peace, but actually is very violent in nature and has done nothing but kill, steal, and destroy in his path.
So, dear people, these were the words. I don't know if there are any questions or if it is clear.
Yeah, it seems clear. I don't know if any other minister will touch on intermarriages as well.
Not in the context of conquering, but it's because it was not in the context of conquering. But I don't know when we will deal with, because many people are so afraid of Islam. So we will dedicate a topic on that as well. And then we will show you how the Arab world, how the Muslims are not who you think they are. People are so afraid. People give them so much power, but they have no power. So we will deal with that. We'll also deal with their religious system, and then we'll show you why they have no power, because they are the same people as the people who are in control. The whole Saudi Arabia family are Europeans.
And was this subtopic of intermarriages, would that be only in the context of Islam, or would it be like a broader
the way
scope?
I took it was the angle would have been that I would be talking about the intermarriages when talking about, because I showed you how they conquered South America. I showed you how they conquered Africa, and the way they conquered especially the Levant areas and the Middle East is through this intermarrying stuff.
Okay.
And that was the angle that I wanted to take, but because of time, we haven't been able to finish it. But we still have many more years to live by Elohim's mercy. So this will not be the last and the only time that we deal with the four horsemen. So whenever we have the time, we have many years. So we will see what Elohim will do for us. So is that clear? So thank you very much. And up until the next time. Shalom, shalom, shalom.